Well, the who would win this week, I know we're going to argue about it, but it's Spider-Man versus Luke Skywalker. When we were talking about this beforehand, like what are we going to do for the who would win? The first thing you brought up was the Force.
Well, yeah. So can I
Sure,
say
please.
because I know that you have, we kind of stopped ourselves because we almost started and we're like, wait, we gotta. So I was in to do this fight, but my thing about it is, how does one? Like you can't. There's no way to decombat the Force if you can't also use the Force.
Mm-hmm.
The fight's over. Who would win of the week? Vote now.
Here's what I am proposing.
No.
Matthew, you just have to let me say this. You just have to let me work this out, okay? We're going to have a civil discussion about this.
Can our editor play the Jeopardy theme song over this part of him talking?
So, the editor is me, and I'm not going to do that. You can hum it if you want. My question is, can Spider-Man's spider sense alert him to the Force as it's about to be used? And I'm not talking... Because if, let's say Luke Skywalker uses the Force to, like, lift a big rock and throw it at Spider-Man, even if Spider-Man's not looking, obviously Spider-Man's going to know that rock is coming. Right. So my question is, if Luke Skywalker is just about to, force push Spider-Man, will Spider-Man's spider sense go off? I think it might.
It doesn't matter.
Of course it matters.
How?
Because if his spider sense alerts him, he can move.
I don't...
For sure.
Just because you're running, it doesn't mean the Force isn't going to work on you.
No, but here's
the Force,
the thing.
when you use the Force, you're like using it on a person or an object. It doesn't matter if they're jumping, running away. You know what I mean? You're not... Like, you don't have to hit them with the Force.
Right.
You're using the Force on somebody. So even if Spider-Man's spidey senses tell him that the Force is about to be used on him, he can't do anything about it.
I see what you mean.
Like if you know what I mean? Like if Darth Vader goes to hit him with the choke that he hits everybody with, or if Luke Skywalker does that, that's who he's fighting, right?
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna be able to stop that. So let me tell you this though. And I'll play devil's advocate on myself. I'll work into your argument here. A big thing about the Force and the way that people do escape the use of the Force is to break focus.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's getting forced in the neck, and even if he's choking, because how they're always like this, he can still hit Luke in the face with a web, force hold to be done. But eventually the Force beats Spider-Man. Spider-Man's only option then is to run away, and he's not able to run away because this is a fight. They have to fight.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually he's going to lose to the Force. Because if I was Luke Skywalker, he doesn't have his lightsaber here, or does have a lightsaber?
Sure. Yeah, I think so.
Oh, my
absolutely.
God.
Spider-Man has fought people with more dangerous weapons than lightsabers.
But not the Force.
Not the Force, that's true.
And even though Spider-Man can take a hit, like when he gets thrown into a wall by a big scary monster, he usually takes a second to get up. The monster just has to get to him there then, and he's usually up by then. So I would say that if the Force is used against him to combat him for just a second, Luke Skywalker, zoom.
Okay, so for the
lightsaber through the chest.
I've got a few things to say here.
Thanks for coming, Peter.
So for the Force to be effective on Spider-Man, Luke has to use the Force directly on him. Can't be using any objects.
Yeah, he wouldn't be able to throw objects at him. Spider-Man would, get out of the way. Unless
what you said about focusing. Oh, wait, let me finish my point. Sorry. So it has to be used to manipulate Spider-Man directly. I don't think that Luke can force push Spider-Man using Spider-Man's own momentum into a wall hard enough to really hurt Spider-Man or even mess with him. There's no way I think that Luke can force push Spider-Man into a wall harder than like the Rhino can punch him.
But
right?
what I would do if I was Luke is I would force hold him in place. You know what I mean? Force hold him in place.
Mm-hmm.
So now he can't shoot. He's frozen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's stuck there. And then force hold him in place, get right up like almost you to me, and then lightsaber through the chest.
Right.
I know that there's going to be a half a millisecond probably between when he drops focus on the Force to go lightsaber. I don't know. Can they use their lightsabers and use the Force at the same time? I don't think I've ever seen that.
For
oh
sure.
My God, then Spider-Man's got no chance.
If you have the enough concentration.
If you're Luke Skywalker, then
right.
Spider-Man's toast. He could literally freeze him in tie his hands down via Force so he can't shoot a web or anything,
right.
and go up and stab him in the chest with a lightsaber.
See, I wish I had a better understanding of the Force exactly, because I just don't. I guess it doesn't make sense. I guess you're right. I guess it doesn't really make sense that Spider-Man would be able to avoid the Force. But to what you said about focusing, which is the most important thing when using the Force, is you have to be able to focus. I was literally just listening to Patton Oswalt say this, who's obviously Spider-Man expert. One of the things that Peter Parker does the best, better than any other superhero, is his ability to disrupt the focus of his opponents. Because if you read Spider-Man comics, and they do it a little in the movies, Spider-Man, when he's fighting, is always talking, always getting in the head of his opponent.
That's his thing.
That's his thing. He is always able to get in the head of the opponent.
But you're talking about Luke Skywalker. You're talking about like
Master
the Jedi of all Jedis.
Yep. Yes, I am. And I think that Peter Parker's skills in that sense are refined enough, because especially if it starts looking like Luke's really going to get him, his survival instinct is gonna really kick in, and he's just going to be spitting.
Luke Skywalker, his ability, he's so in tune with the Force. His ability to block all of that other stuff out wouldn't matter.
I don't know. Look at him in the Last Jedi. He's a little frazzled in that movie.
I mean, he's got a lot going on in the side when you're talking about him fighting and against other Jedis and stuff, with it, the way that his bloodline works, and his mom's, dad's brother, sister, cousin, uncle, everybody's, you know what I mean? Peter Parker doesn't have that over his head. What
do you mean? Peter Parker's got tons of problems. He's got more problems than anybody else.
No, he doesn't. That's why Luke Skywalker was frazzled. He's got too much going on when it comes to fights like that.
Okay.
Because there's so many other things to think about.
Right. Which, again, sounds to me like Spider-Man could use it to his advantage.
No, because Spider-Man doesn't have the same power over Luke Skywalker, as far as like, you're not, relate. Like, he doesn't have any juicy gossip.
I understand what you mean now.
Spider-Man's not going to be able to frazzle him enough to impair his ability to use the Force, because he is Luke Skywalker. There's no way.
I think that
he is.
I think he would.
Master Jedi, Andrew.
Yes, absolutely. But I really think that Spider-Man would be able to displace his focus, because, and I might not be right about this, about how the Force works, but my imagining of how the Force works is like you have to lock on to the fucking molecules of whatever object you are trying to manipulate or something, right? And so that means that's got to be harder to do on a human than it is with anything else, a rock, a chair, whatever. And especially with Spider-Man, because he's always not just moving around. And there's so many crazy things happening with his body that are different from the average human. So right there, he's already got a tiny bit of an edge. And then, like I said, I honestly do think that Spider-Man's going to be able to disrupt his focus.
All right, well, then
enough.
let me pose you this question.
Okay.
Then who wins the fight?
I think Spider-Man wins.
No, because even if Spider-Man is able to keep himself alive, that's all it is going to be able to keep himself alive. Like, his ability to impair Luke Skywalker's focus from killing him, I don't agree with that argument, but if that's your argument, okay. But he's not going to be able to impair him enough from actually getting to him.
For Spider-Man to get close enough to Luke Skywalker.
There's no way.
I don't know, man. That seems to me like Spider-Man's skill set. And Spider-Man is, I mean, he's superhumanly strong.
So even if Spider-Man is able to stay out of harm's way from himself for the Force, say he slings a web to pull down a giant pillar onto Luke. Luke keeps that up with the Force. While Luke's doing that, Spider-Man starts to come up on him. Luke can just throw that away and then go back to dealing with Spider-Man. And now Spider-Man is then open to the Force being used against him.
But that all has to happen so quickly. And I'm saying, but in the amount of time that Luke needs to just, because he can obviously quickly push that shit to the side where Spider-Man try and drop something on him. But that's all the time Spider-Man needs. And I also think it absolutely is, Matthew. He's so fast.
Luke is going to be equally as fast. And your argument still becomes invalid in the sense where Luke is going to be able to use the Force on Spider-Man. He is the Master Jedi. It is
but
the
he's not
going
to be able to concentrate like all of that
thing in
switch
the world.
Focus like that so much.
He is the Master Jedi. It won't come down to that. He will be able to instantly impair Spider-Man with the Force. From the second the fight starts. From the second the fight starts, Spider-Man stands no chance against the Force. He doesn't have a way to combat it. Him trying to chirp Luke Skywalker isn't going to stop Luke Skywalker from using the Force on Spider-Man and inevitably killing him. It's not. It's just not.
I just think that with Spidey's powers and his Spidey sense, I feel like he's going to be able to get out of it. The Spidey sense has
nothing to do with it,
I think it does.
Even if Spider-Man knows that the Force is coming, how does he stop it?
I don't know. I honestly think there has to be. I feel like there's some kind of strange circumference of the Force. That's what I think.
There's not.
If you say so, but I'm not so sure.
If Luke Skywalker's standing there and wants to use the Force on Spider-Man, he's going to use the Force on Spider-Man. Doesn't matter if Spider-Man's hop, skipping, jumping around. He's going to use the Force on him. I
just think that Spider-Man has been in tougher spots than that, and he's
not against the Force. Spider-Man's never fought against the Force for a damn good reason.
I don't know what to tell you, Matthew.
Like, do you think... Okay, I have a question for you. Spider-Man versus Doctor Strange, who wins?
It's hard not to go with Spider-Man.
Oh, my God.
He's beaten everybody, Matthew. He always finds... He's very intelligent. The other thing is, with basically anyone, all he needs is one tap. People don't realize how strong Spider-Man is.
I do, but he's not going to tap. If he's close enough to tap Luke Skywalker is lightsabering him in half.
Okay, Spider-Man.
Listen. There's Stormtrooper sitting there firing a full clip at a Jedi. Jedi blocking every bullet with the lightsaber.
Are you familiar with Order 66?
Oh my God!
Are you familiar with Order 66?
What is it?
It didn't work. When all the fucking clones killed all those Jedis.
Okay, but not the Master Jedi. And if you're telling me, even if Spider-Man is the equivalent to as fast as a bullet gets fired, he's not faster than a bullet. Andrew. Like, shut up.
He's probably not.
So it doesn't matter. He's getting lightsabered in half.
Okay, here's what happens. Spider-Man.
Here's what happens is that this argument is done.
Spider-Man.
No.
Web the lightsaber, web the
He's not gonna
thing down. He absolutely could. I know he could. And when Luke is focused on both getting that shit off, make sure something heavy doesn't fall on him, and getting his
he doesn't need
lightsaber
to do
back.
both at the same time.
So doing them sequentially
The second,
leaves even a larger opening for Spider-Man.
listen, Spider-Man, play this out in your head.
Uh-huh.
Fight starts. First thing Spider-Man does, pillar, pull down. The second it's pulled down, Luke Skywalker, force away. That's Spider-Man can be coming right at. Spider-Man could be here already by the time, but it doesn't. Boom, boom. He's dead.
It's both happening simultaneously. Like he's pulling something down and webbing Luke's lightsaber at the same time, though. Do you understand? And like I said, all he needs is one punch. All Spider-Man needs is one punch.
So you're still missing the biggest point of my argument that is correct, that is factual, that you refuse to accept, is that Luke Skywalker will be able to use the Force on Spider-Man. Yes!
But Spider-Man distracting him in the way I just described.
So he throws the shit away and he webs the lightsaber. That's all simultaneous then?
Those two things, yeah.
So then it's that and fuck the lightsaber then.
It's obvious that there's some
What is he doing
connection.
with the what is he doing with the lightsaber when he webs it? Cuz you can't just web he's flinging it away?
No. Yes, of course, Matthew. Yes, obviously. But
Good fight. Good
No, Matthew.
Good fight.
No.
It's over.
No.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
That's all that Spider-Man needs to do, because then Luke is preoccupied with these two things.
No. This thing is already done. This stuff is art. You're talking about how fast Spider-Man is?
Yeah.
Why are you not understanding that his ability to use the Force will be just as quick as it was for Spider-Man to do double webs?
It is as quick. But that's enough time for Spider-Man.
No, it's not. Because
yes, it is, man.
Even if
I'm telling you it is.
Even if Spider-Man, here's the thing, is it's going to take longer to get the lightsaber back than it is to just push the rocks that way. Mm-hmm. That's as Spider-Man's pulling it down, Luke Skywalker's pushing it away. So
you could even...
second that this is done, and this, even if this is started, and the lightsaber's not there yet, he does this. And then Spider-Man again just can't move. He's forced. Spider-Man cannot combat the Force. There's nothing that Spider-Man can do.
So he
to
has
stop.
to.
No.
So he has to get Luke to focus his Force abilities on other stuff.
But that's fractions of a second. And I understand what you're saying, that Spider-Man's fast. It's not enough time, because all Luke has to do is this, and Spider-Man's toast again. It's this and then this. Even if Spider-Man had 1 second, 1 full second from the time that he pulls that down, it would not be enough time.
And I think that it would.
But it wouldn't, based on literally everything that's ever happened in Star Wars. Even to the fact where Luke could go like this, quick demo for, not everybody's going to be able to see this, but Luke can go like this, and that throws not only the rocks, but Spider-Man away with him. Throw Spider-Man under the rocks. I know, then he'll web out, but then that whole scene again is done. That whole argument that you just had is done. Now Luke has his lightsaber back already, and Spider-Man's got nothing else to pull down on him. Or even if he does, he can just do the same shit again. One big swoop of Force. And throw that shit out of the way, including Spider-Man.
And if that happens, I honestly think that Spider-Man, because again, he's, aside from being super strong, yes, he's very resilient.
Yes. And then what's his next move?
He just keeps distracting Luke with different things.
So then Luke just keeps doing the same thing. This is what I'm saying. If you think that the Force doesn't do enough to Spider-Man for Luke to be able to kill him, then the fight just ends in a draw. It goes to decision. Because there's no way that we're talking...
But let's say it just goes on and on and on and on and on. I keep saying it. Spider-Man only needs to touch Luke once, and he's out.
Spider-Man only needs to get close enough to Luke once for Luke to lightsaber him in half.
It's basic. You have to. It's
This is the
basically
stupidest
because
fucking
of
argument I've ever heard in your life.
But honestly, because of the
Spider-Man
spider sense.
versus
But honestly, because of the spider sense, being able because of the spider sense. Honestly,
I'm
being
so
able
sick
to
of
hit
this.
Spider-Man like with a lightsaber with anything is basically impossible.
No, it is not.
Yeah, it 100% is. You try whacking Spider-Man with something, it's not going to work. Ever.
Here's the thing. Okay, hitting him with a lightsaber is going to be difficult. I'm not denying that. The man can
Impossible.
dodge bullets.
Mm-hmm.
But then it comes down to the same argument. Like, then there's nobody that wins this fight. And again, force plus lightsaber equals dead Spider-Man. It's an easy equation. There's no way around it for Spider-Man. And I'm so sick of this argument, I don't want to have it for another second.
Okay, we'll lock it in because we're obviously not going to.
Luke Skywalker.
It's Spider-Man. Spider-Man
Vote-
takes it.
Vote.
Vote on this one.
Vote on this one. I'm so just dumbfounded that you don't think that the Force can combat Spider-Man. I'm not saying that Spider-Man wouldn't be able to use tactics to, make it a challenging go. But we're talking about the Force, Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man can't escape the Force. If he's in the Force, he can't escape the Force. His words aren't going to break Luke Skywalker, Master Jedi's focus. They're just not. You don't become a Master Jedi and have your focus broken by friggin' Peter Parker.
But we see in the sequels.
I said by Peter Parker.
Yeah, but he's excellent at that. That's a huge part of his skill set.
Not against the Master Jedi, Andrew. And even if it is, it's not long enough. It's just not long enough. Again, even if he is, then the fight ends in a draw.
Maybe. But I still think Spider-Man takes it.
I don't.
I understand.
Vote. Show up to the clubhouse if you want. I don't even give a fuck. I don't. This is a stupid argument.